Bizarre Brain Comics. Well, hello my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I am Gary, your host. This is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. This time I want to take a look at a book I took a little glance at several issues from the series a few weeks ago. This is Charlton Classics presents Hercules, number 5. And this issue is from 1980, but it was originally published in 1967, I think, 67, 68, and then again in the early 70s. The whole series. It was originally a total of 13 issues, well, 12 issues of the regular comic size and one issue in oversized black and white magazine format. And then the whole thing was reprinted a few times after that. And this is more closely related to the Greek mythological stories than what we are used to seeing, like in the Disney version of Hercules or the Kevin Sorbo series of the 90s TV series. But even here they've taken a few liberties, but I'll mention that if I remember correctly. Okay. And this issue of the series was, well, first of all, it's a series of comics, and then they also had the original series had backups of Thane of Bagarth, which I did featured a couple of weeks or so ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and because they were also reprinted separately, and I don't think that story was ever completed. And then when Hercules was reprinted, it featured other backup stories in here that were more contemporaneous, which we'll see. I won't go into detail on those. I forgot to take the cap off my bottle. Okay, so here we go with Charlton Classics presents Hercules, and here is our splash page. And this was written by Sergius O'Shaughnessy and drawn by Sam Glansman. And you might say, that's an unusual name, Sergius O'Shaughnessy. Well, it's a pen name, nom de plume. And it was the nom de plume for famed, now quite famous, quite popular comic book writer and novelist Denny O'Neil. And he was working under the editorship of Dick Giordano at Charlton Comics at this time when it was originally published. Okay, so Sergius O'Shaughnessy, and he takes that name from a character in a Norman Mailer novel. Oh, I just read it. I just read the title of that book, and now I can't think of it. Anyway, there's a Norman Mailer novel. I can't speak all of a sudden. This is really thrilling and exciting. And the title of this story is The Land of the Amazons. Now, this series was basically recounting a version of the famed 12 labors of Hercules. Remember, Hercules is the Greek name. Hercules was the Roman version. But it is the better known version, so they keep with Hercules, even though it's a Greek story and takes place in Greece. Yeah. And here, Hercules is being assigned 12 labors for him to complete to ascend. Because remember, he is a man god. He is half human, a demigod, half human, half god. His father was Zeus, the king of the gods, and he wanted to ascend to godhood, full godhood, and go to Mount Olympus. But if I remember correctly, the 12 labors were supposed to be in restitution as punishment for the deaths of his wife and children, which is not at all mentioned in here. I don't think it was mentioned in the TV series either. It has mentioned in some of the movies, but his wife and children were killed by him in a fit of madness that was drug-induced by Hera, the queen of the gods, the wife of Zeus. But that's not mentioned here. Here it's for the... Now, it's been many years since I've read that stuff, so I may be misremembering some of those details. But that's the way I remember it. Okay, and one of his labors was to... It's even, if you remember from the Wonder Woman comics, it was Hercules who stole the girdle of power from Queen Hippolyta in ancient times. Well, this is that story, but it's told from their side. So we first see it in an unnamed Greek city. Hercules is in an arena, and he has taken on two bulls, basically displaying his strength and power, and everyone's cheering and yeah, great, and they're wanting him to come to their house to eat and drink and have a party. And he has always been a little leery with because he feels out of place, being neither man nor god, and he's a little leery with the people. So here he's being invited. They want him to come. Then this dark cloud comes out of the clear skies and descends upon Hercules, and he is being spoken to by his father Zeus and Zeus's wife Hera, and they give him his next labor that he is supposed to do, which is to take the girdle of Hippolyta, which doesn't sound right, because Hera was, as I recall, was on the side of the Amazons, but here she's just jealous and wants that girdle for herself. But so it may not be. It's hard to remember. Anyway, she shows him an image of what that girdle looks like. So he then takes off and he wanders. You notice he's got this lion skin as a cloak that he wears on his back. That's from one of his previous labors to get slay a deadly lion. I've forgotten the name of it. Anyway, he gets to the land of the Amazons and finds a lovely young woman chained up, and it's like right out of St. George. She's chained up to a post and being menaced by some lizardy monster, which could be described as a dragon. And Hercules gets knocked on his keister, so he takes the post that the girl is chained to, breaks it in two, uses it as a weapon so he can get a grip, and with his bare hands he kills the beast. Then Queen Hippolyta pops up and says, that was great sport. She saw him coming and set up the whole deal, with using one of her slave girls, her slaves, and to see if how he would deal with the monster. Of course, at this point, she doesn't know who Hercules is. She's unaware of him, and she is taken by him, and she brings him to her palace, where they are weighted hand and foot on by male slaves who don't speak, and she reveals that she has magical powers, and they're all. Here, Hippolyta is evil, and I suppose that's probably dependent on I don't remember so much from the story if it told much about it, but he's taken to her palace, fed, and she wants him to remain and be her almost personal slave, but with the power being the king, but she would still rule, and all these other men are ensorcelled. They are mental slaves, and they don't even speak. But he says, I have to think about it. So he says, okay, that's fine. We set you up with a place to stay, but here is that woman that you saved. Here she is being menaced again. So you leave your room, and she's going to be plunged, because she's on a platform over a fire, and will be plunged into the flames. So you don't do anything. And so, okay. Well, he doesn't realize how strong he is, and he is considering what. And here it says, but under the circumstances, he cannot request aid of the gods. And while Zeus is observing, he is going to try to sneak a little assistance, causing a thunderstorm that will douse the flames. But that he's caught by Hera, so he has to stop, and he winds up making it rain on Athena instead, with saving a bunch of people's crops and the like. So, but Hercules, he smashes out the window, because his room is guarded on the outside. But they heard it. And he saves the young lady while those guards are throwing spears and stuff at him. And then the queen has her men don their armor and go after Hercules, and they don't have any choice in the matter, because remember, they are ensorcelled. They try to get away. He destroys a pillar in some caves under the palace, which causes the roof to collapse, and then there's Hippolyta right there at the secret exit. He's caught. She knocks out stuns the slave girl, and Hercules is about to have to fight off all these warriors. He's just not getting him anywhere near this, but he's afraid he's going to lose it. But he's got to lose his chance to get the girdle. But he's going to have to save the girl and himself, for that matter. But he is not allowed to fight Hippolyta. He is himself. But the girl picks up a rock, knocks Hippolyta in the head. He grabs the girdle, and the men are then freed. Yay! And so Hippolyta will meet her justice. So this is the part where you see from the story from Wonder Woman, where the Amazons are enslaved. And Hera, well, she's very condescending. Takes the girdle and acknowledges his victory. He leaves the lovely young girl, and off he goes for waiting for his next labor. So that was issue number 5. But we're not quite done, because here is Sludge, and it is a fantasy story. But one thing, this is written by Nicola Cuddy and drawn by Joe Stanton. So I presume this is probably done in the 70s. And and remember, they did for Charlton did E-Man, and I really liked E-Man, and this is the style of art of Joe Stanton's art that I really like, that I liked best. And his style has morphed a little bit over time. And it's just a cute little story. I won't go into that at all. It's a little fantasy. And I forgot to mention about Sam Glansman. Of course, Sam Glansman is best remembered for all his war comics. He did a lot of war comics for DC and Charlton, and I think even some other companies. And for Dell, he did a Tarzan-like character. I can't remember his name, but so he is very organic and he was a good artist. He even did a version of Tarzan for Charlton that was unauthorized in the early '60s. So here we have this interpretation of Hercules, and I really enjoy these stories. So I want to thank you for joining me, and tell me what do you think. Like, share, subscribe. Leave your comments down below. What do you think of this interpretation of Hercules if you've never read it before, compared to the versions from the Marvel Comics versions, or the various DC Comics versions, or the or the Disney version of Hercules? Let me know in the comments down below. And remember, comics are art.